Tuesday, February 15th, and this is the Town of Bluffton Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee meeting for February. And I'll call the meeting to order. It is 6:01, and we'll start with the roll call and confirmation of quorum. Sam Brett present.
Tracy Pensky present.
Ellen Shoemaker, present.
Dick Frame present.
Mike Tripka, present.
That'll give us a quorum. And the adoption of the agenda, everybody's had a chance to review it. Can I get a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. And adoptions of the minutes from November 16th, 2021 meeting. Everybody had a chance to review these?
Yes.
Can I get a motion to approve?
I move we approve the minutes from the November 16th meeting.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Financial report, Natalie?
Okay. Good evening, ATAC. I also wanted to introduce Shaquilla Hicks. She is going to be assisting with ATAC now. She just started with the fire department, with the finance department about a little over a month ago. We're delighted to have her with us. She's been great. So new face, and she's excited to be working with all of you. So, okay. And happy belated Valentine's Day. All right. ATAX funds for this quarter, there is a combined total of over $2 million available for distribution, split between state and local accommodations tax. They are up 57% from last year's quarter. We have 3 applicants this quarter. The May River Theater is requesting additional money for advertising, $22,195. Old Town Bluffton Merchant Society is their annual request for the Bluffton as a Destination project at $16,000, and the Town of Bluffton for the Squire Pope Cottage House restoration at $215,000. I'm happy to answer any questions I can at this time.
Anybody have questions?
Nope.
Not now?
No, not until later.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Natalie.
Okay, and our first applicant is May River Theater.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to see you again.
Good evening.
So just back here, based on your request that we should search out other opportunities for advertising and that funding. The packet that you got for this was pretty much the exact same as the packet you originally got. What you would have seen on there is just the breakdown for what the expense is for those billboards that you had suggested, and then also for the additional print media. As we're looking at those, you can see the billboards bring up a larger chunk of that money. Again, looking at 2 of the main corridors coming into the Bluffton area, hoping to bring in new visitors, ideally for our events, but then that would expand into other opportunities for the community. People need to eat when they go see theater. And then the other thing is that with that, I think it's just a little over 5,000 would bump us up in our print media. So instead of our 3 months that we would be doing with the 3 local places, we'd be doing 6 months. At that 6-month commitment, that gives us access to their social media. So it wouldn't just be the print articles, but it would also be the social media that is going into that. All right, so couple updates, just kind of where we're going, what we've done since you all have talked to us last. What we have found recently with our advertising, with our production of Steel Magnolias, haven't bought your tickets yet, it opens next weekend, is that our patrons that have been with us for 20 years are still relying on that print media. Okay? Most of them, as I'm answering calls and stuff to the theater and stuff, is I saw this in this, what are, so that has proven that we're going to need to continue to do the print media. That was part of our discussion last time, is how viable is that as a source for marketing. But that being said, if you look at the data from our website and from our social media, a little over 75% of that is new visitors, okay? New people to, May River Theater. So we're working on kind of creating that balance between how do we give the people that have been coming to us for 20 years what they need to be involved, and then how do we reach that new demographic. So again, our website has been, as we've revamped that, has been pretty successful at connecting with people, and then we've been supplementing that through our Facebook and our Instagram pages. Let's see if I hand this in here. All right, so something that I wanted to point out just with that additional marketing beyond what you guys have seen in your packet, which is those 3 shows, which would have been the last time. Something we had in the works, just we didn't have it solidified by December, which is when we request to have this back in, is this spring, we're gonna be doing our first series of one acts, okay? So the great thing about one acts is the expense is low and we can have a high impact. So we have 4 new directors to May River Theater that are gonna be involved with our one act series. 3 of them are under the age of 25. They grew up in this area and then went to college, and now we're here to support them again. The teacher in me gets emotional about things like that. Collective, you would think I do this all day, that I wouldn't, get emotional, but anyway, so we're really excited about what this opportunity is gonna be. So we have 4 different one acts. Basically what's gonna happen is they get 2 weeks to rehearse, a show goes up. 2 weeks to rehearse, a show goes up. So we're gonna be really active in our theater and utilizing that space, bringing in new people to direct, to act, to do all those things. And it's not really the expense of royalties and that sort of stuff, but by expanding to that 6-month advertising, that helps us include that. We can now reach out to a demographic about auditioning for this new opportunity. It is our goal with that series of one acts to have that happen every year and expand into an annual event. That would be amazing if we could grow it and include theaters on Hilton Head, theaters in Beaufort, so that it's really kind of grows into this kind of destination type event. So just important to know that we're forward thinking too, and that that's out there, and that these funds will support us as we go there. The other new development, what I think is important as we're asking for money, is showing that the board has made a commitment to what are we doing with our revenue. So we have a new board member, and after his first meeting with us, he's like, I'd really like to start a revenue committee where we're looking at not only how we bring in revenue, but how do we be creative about that? So where the funds from this would help us with those traditional marketing and royalty fees, that would open us up to doing things like pairing with businesses in the community. It's not a huge one yet, but for this one, like we're just doing an event where we're doing a contest for community members to share pictures of themselves and their salon, their hairdo. Whoever gets the most comments on Facebook gets 4 free tickets, 2 for themselves, 2 for their hairdresser, since Steel Magnolias takes place in a hairdressing place. So that's kind of what we're thinking about, is how do we pair up, how do we share social media, how do we grow? And I think if we didn't have to worry about the print side of it, it kind of goes that. I think finally, the only other thing I'll say is, and we didn't show a new budget because the fact is, if we don't get the 22,000, we won't be doing billboards and the 6 months, just because in our first full year back, and it is a full year and that's amazing, we just don't have the past revenue from the past 3 years.
I think that's it.
So I do have a question. So I've been to the plays, and I must pick the wrong nights because y'all are pretty full. What kind of attendance do you run on an average?
So for our show in November, we were at about 75%, which for our first show in the theater after almost 2 years. It was pretty good. Ticket sales are looking good for this one. I'm hoping we sell this one out.
And there'll be, Still Magnolias, which is going to be this one, correct?
Yep.
And how many nights will it run?
It's running we have 6 shows going. So Friday and Saturday nights and then Sunday matinee.
Question on your billboard request. You got placement on 170 and Speedway Boulevard. That's through Hardyville?
Okay, the northern girl in here is gonna be like,
That should be the intersection of 17A and the road that comes out from Levy.
That's 315.
And what was the 170?
It says
in
Speedway.
Well, no, you had 170, 170, and I can imagine, and you're going through Adams.
so if I'm thinking Speedway, when I'm
That's
driving to Savannah,
17A.
so 170, is that when we come down through Hardyville and hit Speedway here, that you hit before the bridge?
Speedway's the road that goes from the interstate to the Talmadge Bridge.
Right.
And so 170 doesn't intersect it anywhere. So
No.
is it 2 different locations, do you know?
It is 2 different locations.
Because
One is
what you have
coming,
is once, I had a billboard on 315. So I know, the placement of all that. So 315 is the one coming in from Savannah, where you take 17, you come to the flashing light, where the guy's always begging for money, and then make a right, and then that's coming in from Savannah. So what we found was most of your Google directions would bring you past there. I mean, that's why that was good. So, but 170 cuts off, coming from here, 46 first goes into the center of Hardyville. I thought that was Speedway Avenue. The next one, 170 then cuts off, hits into 17, and 170 then goes through the preserve.
yes,
Yeah.
on that backside.
So I'm just saying, make sure where they're going to place this other board for you,
Is
yeah.
the traffic.
where it's going to have traffic. Okay, 170, I'm going to imagine it's going to be coming from Buford. And you hit people coming in, let's just say tourists. I also had a billboard on 462 coming in off of exit 28. So once again, the traffic reports on that, where you get a lot of people coming in who are vacationing, who, once again, Google Maps takes you through that way, and then coming from Savannah, they bring you through 315. So, those placements.
And I thought that was our intent. Can I steal your pen for a minute? Yeah. I'm just gonna put on your, so I believe that was our intent. I'll just be honest and say that Jennifer was the one who contacted for the billboards and stuff. And I think that was that it was that Savannah in, because again, coming from that direction, and then the Buford
But if
coming
they
in.
got, but if there's,
Yep,
I would question if they're selling you on
absolutely.
170 coming from Savannah. 170 coming in from Buford makes sense because you get a lot of traffic and you get localized on that also. And knowing how much billboards cost, you're
Absolutely.
just about where it is, because I know the one on 170 coming from Buford was more expensive than the other one coming in the other way. I don't know. And then personally, I still have a problem with print media, but that's a
And I will.
personal thing. I understand what you're saying.
And I would completely stand right next to you and be that way, but I'm the one that's been answering the phones for the last 2 weeks as people are watching, like, I saw your advertisement, and I'm like, okay, so I guess somebody's still reading it. And most of it is our people that have been coming for that 15, 20 years.
I just came back to the billboards. Okay, we're looking at 2. And for what period of time? Or is it going to be staggered?
Did Jennifer put that in there? Because that would be a good to know thing.
Or are they or is, especially the one coming from Buford, is that looking at at the digital, or is that gonna be hard copy?
Here's my suggestion for you, because I actually have the exact same thing, is just to find out where it is on Speedway.
Okay.
Because I think it's very vital with your, whether you're just wasting it or if it's going to be.
Absolutely.
I would suggest, if you can ask, I don't know if this is possible, Natalie, but just do an amendment to this little section right here and say exactly where they're going to be, and it's for a year or 5 years or 6 months
What
or
that's
whatever
gonna
it is what my suggestion.
I can even reach out to Jennifer. She was going to be here tonight and had a last minute family thing come up, so.
And my other PS is that I just double checked. I messaged y'all through Facebook, and I left a message to ask about season tickets for Christmas presents, and no one ever called me back or wrote me back.
On okay, so Facebook.
Yeah, because I just double checked
okay.
it too. So I'm just telling you that those might be other avenues that you might be missing if there's more than just
Was the one a
me.
phone call sort of thing?
Sorry?
Was one of those a phone call?
It was. I left a message on the answering machine.
That one was me, so usually I catch those, so. No.
I'm just
No, that's absolutely.
putting it out there.
Just one last question on the, you mentioned, I think I caught it correctly, that on the one-act plays. Okay, we're gonna be doing them here. But what was the expansion into Hilton Head and Buford?
So a lot of times when you have one act series, they kind of turn more so into kind of a festival type thing, and different theaters will host them at, throughout the chunk of time. So I think that would be our grand vision down the road would be that we're still having them here, but we might have so much interest that we could actually expand out and kind of include the greater community, just to kind of bridge those.
Well, I think that, what you want to do is concentrate on monies that you get from town for A-tax, H-tax. That the money goes towards here rather
Oh,
than there.
absolutely.
You want money for Hilton Head? By all means, go ask them. You want money from Buford? By all means, petition them. But otherwise, I feel just concentrate on whatever we're going to do here. You want to expand it, that's fine, but funding's got to come from other places.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, this is completely for what we're doing here. Yeah, just in case that was a confusion, it's just, I'm a big umbrella picture, like, this is the foundation, this is where we hope to build it.
Anybody have additional?
Okay, I'll find out about the placement of those for y'all, okay?
Up next would be Old Town Bluffton Merchant Society. At the end?
I thought we did after each one. I'm losing.
Historically, we voted at the end for everybody at the same time.
It's your show, Sam.
It's your show. Whatever you want.
I can sit back down again if you want to vote.
We've only ever done voting at the end, have we? I don't mind doing it between each one.
We just voted it last time between each one.
Did you?
You weren't here.
Oh, okay.
We're good.
Come on up, Mary.
So this is a little bit different, because we usually write this grant for, because our fiscal year runs from July 1 to June 30th. Well, this year, I did not write the grant at that time because we were still unsure of what we were doing because of lovely COVID. And the last time I wrote a grant, we didn't use half the money because everything was canceled. So with that in mind, we had enough money to get through the fall, and we did have an art walk, and we're having an art walk this Friday night. So this is for the rest of this fiscal year. We did go ahead and place that I included in the packet. This is the first time in, I would say, maybe 8 years, 9 years, that we've actually run an ad in the Hilton Head Bluffton Vacation Planner. And, you know, this is the print part, which they do send out to, I think it's up to 145,000 people, but you get the whole digital part with it, which is the nice part in today's world, except for those people that can't get on and therefore still have to look at print. So that's something new this year. If you notice, we're still doing event marketing, so we'll still spend some money for the event, and I'll talk about our spring arts weekend. And then our general advertising, which I just showed you, includes the vacation planner. It's going to be in Carolina, the last time we ran it. This is the type of ad in South Carolina Living. So it goes to all the drive markets in South Carolina. And then our tourist maps, and again, last year, you know, we were like limping along with the tourist maps. The airport, in 1 month, I had to deliver a box twice already. So the tourists are coming, and for those of you, we all have shops or restaurants in town, we know it's the tourists. I mean, I guess they've left home. They're here, and I guess they're staying, which is okay with me because I've never had a better year ever, which is amazing to me. After all the stuff we've done, finally, I guess they've discovered us, which now they can stop discovering us. But I know I'm supposed to be talking about how I want to make Bluffton a destination, and we do. But we just want people to, you know, be cautious, and they don't all have to move here from New York. So the tourist maps, the video production, we are going to hopefully get a little video so we can put it on our website, which makes us more up to date. It'll be in segments so we can use it in our social media. And then our website enhancement, I'm going to have a different webmaster do that because our website's okay. I think we paid a lot of money for it, and it's just okay. So we're going to find someone else to do the rest what we want done, and that'll all be included in this. We are planning, which again, the last time, so for our big spring fling weekend, that was canceled in 2020, and then we didn't even attempt it in the spring of 2021. That was tied in with the plein air competition and all that. Well, we've moved in not a different direction, but just a slightly different. It'll still be a weekend, so that's something we can definitely go after the drive market to come and stay, hopefully, for 2 nights and fill some beds, go to restaurants. Friday night definitely will be an art walk. Saturday, we're hoping we're going to tie in with the Greater Bluffton Chamber. You know, they've always had Taste of Bluffton. They're kind of moving in a different direction also. It's lovely to have, you know, street festivals and that, but, you know, none of them are as good as the seafood festival. Oh, you didn't hear me then, sorry. But they're going to, you know, there's, to me, we've moved to another level, so we could have a sophisticated type of Taste of Bluffton. You don't have to have necessarily booths of the street. We could have food trucks. We have this a gorgeous area at the Hayward House. We have Martin Park. So anyway, it'll be something like that on Saturday, and Sunday most probably will be brunch around town, and we'll have it interspersed with artists doing live demos in parks, on the porches of galleries, et cetera, et cetera. So those details aren't in stone, but that's what we're planning. A full weekend, arts, culture, history, what we're all about here in Bluffton, and we'll create an event that's a little, you know, cultural, artistic, and that people will come and then want to stay. So that's kind of my gist.
What's the date on that? Yes.
We don't know yet. It's going to be at the end of April. Definitely not the week before Mayfest, because that's in May. We don't want to crowd people. But Easter is late this year, so we don't want it Easter weekend because...
Plus it's Heritage.
Plus Heritage, correct. I'm just saying it'll be,
Yes.
we're going to, because we want something for Bluffton. You know, all these years, we've tried to entice people that come for the heritage to come over to Bluffton. I mean, they might come over, but that is not the time for us to do an event. We're not going to compete with heritage.
Up for a daytime thing. Any questions?
So my first question was the 16,000, because I just thought it was so low, but it goes to June 30th, and then you'll put a new one in then for the rest of the next year.
As long as the world's normal and, yeah, we don't have to cancel everything again.
One thing, I know that we had our thing about all the applications. I love her application. None of them else look like this. Because it's easy to read. It doesn't have that little box where everything disappears. So I just want it to be known that this is really nice. Good job, Mary.
Thank you.
All right. So one of my questions was, and you kind of touched on it, is that no events. So you're going to have your walk weekend spring fling thing, but in the past we used to do a couple of big events. Y'all used to do a couple of big events a year, so not doing that anymore.
I mean,
I'm just asking.
it would be, so at that time, Christy was on the board. At one time, she was president twice. So it was just, it's hard. We're a bunch of small businesses. That's not really who we are. We needed that revenue because at the time, you know, we were bringing tourists. We're still bringing them, but we don't have to create such big things. I mean, we had Oktoberfest. Okay, well, you know, it was a lot of work.
Right.
And there's just not enough of us, because most of these small businesses, it's them. So they're in their shop. So how are they going to send a volunteer? I mean, some of us had children that we created, they were slaves. But like mine are all grown and it's hard to get them to be slaves anymore. So, I mean, I'm just being honest. That's really why we couldn't do it.
Okay, so then that goes kind of into my next question. So I see on here that one of the things was Light Up the Night. So what did you do, what happened at Light Up the Night in December?
We just told people, again, it has changed so much. So our cool thing used to be to make the luminaries and line Calhoun Street and all up to the promenade. And it was very cool at the time. We didn't have to do that this year. If any of you saw the Light Up the Night that the town put on, we advertised that in addition, you know, we would keep our shops open till 5:30, because at 5:30, that was the tree lighting. So we're just trying to say, hey, we're here, come out and support all the activities, and then go to the Christmas tree lighting. And we did the same thing for the parade. I mean, there's no sense in us wasting money when we don't have to. If any of you were there, it was like I had my grandchildren, it was the wildest night in the entire world. That's all I can say. And it was beautiful. Our town is, I mean, I love Martin Park. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you.
So our last applicant will be the town of Bluffton for the the Squire Pope Carriage House Restoration Project.
Good evening. My name is Pat Rooney. I'm a capital improvements manager for the town of Bluffton. I do not have a formal presentation, but I can give you some highlights that I've written down from the application, give you some background. The Squire Pope Carriage House is one of 10 remaining antebellum structures within the historic district. It's considered a contributing structure to our National Register Historic District. So it's a significant piece of architecture. Little background, the town bought the property in 2017. Most of you know there's been a beautiful park put put on that property. The structure itself has been fenced off for these last couple of years. Nothing's really been done there. Hasn't been touched. But it definitely needs some attention. It's in pretty bad shape. And it's not as bad a shape as the Garvey house was, but it's in pretty difficult shape and needs some attention. In 2019, we did a structural assessment and preservation plan that was adopted by council. I think it's in your packets. It's a pretty long-winded document, but it's very comprehensive. We've been using that from that point on to develop stabilization plans and construction documents to restore the Squire Pope Carriage House. We plan to do some of the stabilization this year, in this fiscal year, and then start the actual restoration in next fiscal year, 23. As far as the proposed use for this structure, I believe it's going to be very similar to what was done at the Garvey House. It'll be kind of a museum/interpretive center. It'll be filled with displays and exhibits to tell the story of the structure and the land. The project, we believe the project will be an additional attraction to the historic district, and we believe that the Hayward House Visitor Center and Museum will use this as part of their guided tours and self-guided tours that they have throughout the year. This project does support the town of Bluffton's strategic plan by preserving local culture and history. We believe that the project will increase overnight visitation in southern Beaufort County, increase visitor expenditures in retail, dining, and lodging facilities, and therefore will contribute to increased accommodation tax revenue. With that, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Besides Christie? Go ahead.
Okay, so this is where I wanted to ask my question, so I don't know if that's possible or not, but, so the town already gets a portion of the ATAX money. So I was wondering where that was spent.
For me. So those funds, and actually, I should probably pull up how much it was last year. Bear with me just 1 second. So by state law, the first quarter of each year, right off the top, $25,000 goes to the general fund. And then an additional 5% each quarter goes to the general fund as well. So the town received about $66,000 from state funds based on those designations. And that goes into our general fund, which can be used for general purposes.
That was 66,000.
For last fiscal year.
Okay.
Yep.
And that includes the 25,000.
It does. Yep.
And the general fund is just for anything the town needs, doesn't matter what it is, pretty much.
Yep, all of our operating personnel.
Okay. All right, so my next question is, I was just looking at this. I don't even know why I'm even gonna go here, but I was looking at the budget of all this stuff. And so it starts off that you just said that in your little thing, no, not Natalie, sorry.
No, I know. I need to interrupt. I'm sorry, Pat. So I just wanted to just make the clarification that that was state funds. So the town does receive out of other percentages from local, but the requirement for state funds to spend within 2 years is what generated this request. So out of state funds, the town has received $66,000 last fiscal year. Okay.
So if we don't use it, we lose it. So we're just helping out. Is that right?
So there, with state law, there's the requirement that you need to spend the funds with the state accommodations tax within 2 years of receipt. Or you can request an extension, but you have to show that it's committed.
Okay. So my question was, you were talking about the Gavin House and how that, the Gavin House, how much did we spend on the Gavin House? Do you know?
I can tell you this one's budgeted for $1.4 million. In this construction market, who knows what that's really going to be, but we're hoping that we can build it for that amount.
So you spent more than that on the Gavin House, you think?
No, I don't think so. I mean, well, it was in much worse shape than this one is, but I would say that this one is going to be more expensive than Garvey House.
Because it's much larger.
It's larger, yeah.
And the construction
No other
right
cost
now.
of
It'll have
goods.
to be elevated, the foundation is pretty much shot.
Okay, so then, all right, so you get approved to the 215, this might be a Natalie question. So if the construction is like triple that or double that, will we come back and try to get more money to finish it? Or we don't know until that happens?
I don't know the answer to that.
The preservation plan that was done in 2019 had it estimated to be just under $1 million, and we bumped it up to 1.4 in the last 2 years, hoping that, to cover the increases in costs that have come up since then. So we're trying to anticipate that extra cost in this budget. And, if for some reason it comes in at 1.6, we can do a budget amendment and include $200,000 to increase, to go ahead and pay for that. I know the project is a pretty high priority with the mayor and council, so they want to see it done.
I believe that there were grants that came from the state for Garvey House. What's your plan as far as soliciting those other funds?
We received one grant for the preservation plan that paid for about half of the cost of that. And growth management is looking for additional funds from the state for the construction as well. So we're looking for whatever funds we can find for this.
So if you were going to have a meeting about this, would that be under the strategic meetings, or what meetings publicly would you go to find out more about this whenever you do the next thing?
Are you talking about the project overall? Okay, the town of Bluffton is pretty transparent. We have our entire capital improvements projects are listed on our website. You can go to the storyboard, get a whole 9 yards, the budget, the schedule, the description of the project. As far as approvals, right now we're going through strategic plan. Matter of fact, we spent all day today working on that. And that's where they prioritize projects. And we should know, within the end of the week. Matter of fact, we have a meeting on the 23rd to kind of go review all that. So I don't know if I answered your question or not.
I think so. I think you discussed it today in the workshop that you had
It's
today.
in the strategic plan, it's a 2-year window. So it's been approved for that 2-year window, but the actual budget gets approved over the next couple months.
Any other additional questions? Thank you. All right, so that would bring us to the actual process of voting for the applicants. The first one we would call would be the May River Theater. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve May River Theater's request for $22,195. Were we going to put an amendment on that?
Are we gonna
In
put
what
what?
way? Just go ahead and make the motion.
Yeah, okay. Let's leave it at that.
Second, I'll second it. Discussion on this. So what amendment?
You mentioned an amendment as far as the placement of the billboards?
Did you get an answer back by you been on the phone? What's that answer?
So one is, when you were talking about by your bridge there, so the Speedway one, that's where that is, where the intersection is there. And then the other one is
Oh, okay.
on 170 by the Cherry.
There we go.
Cherry Point
That's
Bridge.
right,
That's
yeah.
the digital one? Is it digital?
Yeah, both of them are digital, it's for a year, and that cost also includes social and, like media through them, advertisement also.
That's,
You good with that?
yeah, I mean, that's smart because the changes that they have to make.
So any additional discussion? All those in favor of approving the May River Theater,
The 50/50 match.
sorry,
The 50/50 match, the asterisk. It's just a minor adjustment to the request.
so was the 32,697.50 the actual request? Is
That
that
would
the
be it
approved
in
amount?
total. And then at the bottom, with the 50/50 match in the budget, there's 2 stars.
Oh, reduces
Just
the
wanted to
eligible
put a
request to
footnote,
21,
yeah.
okay. And in 21,216.50, what you motion, Mike?
Yes.
So we have a motion for the half of the award, which is 21,216.50. We had the discussion. All those in favor of awarding the May River Theater the $21,216.50, please state aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? That's a unanimous. Did I do that right?
I'm not sitting next to you.
This weird meeting. He misses one meeting.
So the next up would be the Old Town Merchant Society, Bluffton as a destination. Their request is for $16,000. Can I get a motion?
I move we approve the request for $16,000.
Second? Nate seconded. Any discussion on that?
I am recused from this.
Thank you.
So how does that work?
So he can't vote.
I know that part, but do we have still a form that we can make it go through? Oh, perfect. Okay.
Any
Aye.
discussion on the 16,000? All those in favor state by aye.
Aye.
One recusal, and except for that, unanimous? And then the final applicant would be the Town of Bluffton Squire Poke Carriage House Restoration. Can I have a motion?
Move to approve the request, Town of Bluffton, for $215,000.
I'll second. Everybody for discussion? Anyone? All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. There was no.
Okay.
And with that, I just want to state that for those who are advertising, do remember that is advertising sponsored with the Town of Bluffton ATAX dollars, has our part of the Low Country logo on it. The next meeting for ATAX is May 7th. There's a deadline of March 31st for those applications to be in. March 31st?
March 17th, May 17th. I think you have the draft. May 17th is the next meeting.
Okay,
March 31st is the deadline. Yep.
so what she said. With that, I'd get a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.